Imagine if we had a bacteria that we could spray on our crops to get them to produce more food with less chemical fertilizer. Well, good news, that exists, and it's been a commercial reality in agriculture for over 100 years. On today's episode of Growing Possibilities, we're going to take a look at commercial inoculants, their history, their uses, and how they can work towards the future of sustainable agriculture. Today, there is a conflict between those who think that ammonia-based nitrogen fertilizers are polluting our air and water, and the farmers who use them to continue to produce high-yielding crops. Now, I can tell you, I was raised in a household where my mom has a giant garden to this day. She farms it completely organically, no chemicals, works it with her hands, and it produces amazing and tasty vegetables. However, that garden is not enough to feed my family year-round. I support organic small plot farming, but if we are going to make it work with today's population, we are going to need technology in order to feed everyone. Let's come back to nitrogen. What is it? Well, our atmosphere is like 78% nitrogen, so why can't plants use that nitrogen? Well, it's kind of similar to water. Humans need water, but we can't drink ocean water. But there's a freshwater cycle that provides us with the fresh water we need. Similarly, there is a nitrogen cycle that provides plants with the nitrogen they need. For centuries, humans relied on this cycle for agriculture. But like most natural cycles, it works slowly. As we took up more and more of the virgin land and continued to farm on it year after year, we needed to find ways to continue to make that land productive. This is where inoculants and our biotech solution does come in. Basically, you have legumes, lentils, peas, clover, and they have an associated rhizobia bacteria that evolved along with them. And that bacteria takes nitrogen out of the atmosphere and makes it usable to those plants. Now, the ancient Egyptians, Romans, and the indigenous people of North and South America, among others, all knew that legumes were good for the soil. So they didn't know about inoculants or nitrogen-fixing bacteria, but they knew that if they grew legume plants and then tilled them back into the soil, that the next crop after would grow better, whether that was wheat or corn or what have you. Now, it wasn't until the 18th century that we actually discovered nitrogen, and it wasn't until the 19th century that we discovered bacteria and nitrogen-fixing bacteria. By the 19th century, we knew that nitrogen was necessary for agricultural productivity. At this time, humans were mining niter and actually using guano from tropical islands to get it on the fields. But we knew that this wouldn't last forever. There were only so many tropical islands with caves full of bat poop that we could mine. So the first nitrogen-fixing inoculant was registered in 1896 in the US. Now at this time, nitrogen-fixing inoculants, commercial inoculants, were mostly just soil transfusions. People would take soil from productive fields, soybean, lentils, package it, and spread it over an unproductive field. And in that way, there'd be an infusion of the bacteria. So more work really needed to be done on isolating these bacteria commercially, putting them in a proper suspension, and having a medium that helped them to survive and be productive. So while guano and these inoculants were helping, in legume crops and other crops, humans needed more nitrogen to fuel agricultural productivity. In 1909, a German scientist named Haber became the first to synthesize nitrogen by producing ammonia from the air. This process, you can read all about it online. It sparked the Green Revolution. We grew way more food than we ever had before. The human population skyrocketed. Food got plentiful. We got fat. But this process is largely fueled by natural gas and coal to obtain the needed hydrogen. And this brings us back to our conflict, where activists protest against synthetic nitrogen fertilizers, and farmers need to apply them in order to continue growing at a higher rate of productivity. Modern farming is going to need distributed solutions, and modern inoculants have come a long way since the days of just moving soil from one field to another. A modern inoculant, as you can see here, ours is, it's a bladder, it's a liquid suspension, and pour this directly in with a seed treatment. It goes onto the crop, and when applied properly, it can really help to produce a lot of the nitrogen needed for legume crops. Now, I've produced a small animation that is going to help to explain this, so let's take a look at that now. So here we have a root cross section, and we can see our inoculant bacteria approaching. And he's looking for a way into our root so he can fix nitrogen. He's heading towards this tiny root hair. In response, the plant is going to create an infection thread. This allows the bacteria to travel inside the root, where he is going to infect the plant on a cellular level. We can see the infection taking place as the cells turn red. As the infection spreads, it will begin to create a nodule. This outgrowth is what we see as visible nodules on legume plants. The infection will continue to spread until it touches the vascular cylinder at the center of the root. The vascular cylinder is sort of like the blood vessels of the plant, transporting nutrients through the plant. Those blue molecules are N2. However, this N2 is unusable to the plant, but the bacteria produce an enzyme called nitrogenase. They use this enzyme to convert N2 into NH4. This gets sent to the vascular cylinder of the plant, where it is transported to other parts of the plant as nutrients. In return, the plant provides the bacteria with carbohydrates. I have represented the carbs here as an alien in a donut chip. This symbiotic cycle continues as long as the plants need nitrogen. Once the plant has enough NH4, it stops providing carbs to the bacteria. The plant then focuses on producing fruit, and the bacteria die off. This is a simple representation of how inoculants fix nitrogen in legume plants. I hope this video has helped you to better understand inoculants. I'm not suggesting that modern inoculants can replace commercial nitrogen fertilizers, but I do think that technology is an amazing thing, and as we make more discoveries and push this forward, we can build a sustainable, distributed future where fertilizer is used in tandem with biotech solutions in order to produce high-yielding crops that feed the population while sustaining the ecology around it. Until next time, this is Rick Clement wishing you healthier plants and better yields.